Jigsaw Liam.
That's right. I got the face for it. That is for sure. All right. Shall we?
We shall. Let's do it.
All right, man. All right. Ladies and gentlemen. Well,
the last one, Liam.
Let's start that all over again. Holy moly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the That's Rank podcast. Bittersweet episode tonight because, Rob, it is our final episode of the That's Rank podcast. Oh, sad. Are you sad?
It's emotional. It's been a long ride, and it's probably coming as a surprise to many listeners. It's probably come as a surprise to us. You know, we just spontaneously talked about some ideas, and we decided that it was time. It was time to put That's Rank to bed.
That's
and
right.
Some bittersweet's a good way to put it, Liam.
That's right. And it's apropos that you use the word spontaneous miscellaneous because this podcast, the That's Rank podcast, started as a podcast called Spontaneous Miscellaneous. And that was way back in, I think, mid 2021 when we started that podcast. And then within that podcast was a segment called That's Rank. And Rob and I spoke about it back then. We're like, why don't we just make a podcast out of That's Rank? And we started ranking things, having a great old time with it. So much so that this, our final episode 110 of the That's Rank podcast, our first episode. Rob, do you remember what our first episode was back in the day?
I think I remember it. Maybe because we did our little rapid ranks, and it was Dream Jobs. Was it Dream Jobs?
You are spot on, my friend. Dream Jobs Growing Up, which we recorded way back in September of 2021. So it's been a little bit of time ranking, and we've enjoyed every minute of it. That is for sure. But don't fret. Don't turn it off just yet, because at the end of this podcast, we will tell you and we will give you some information about what will be coming next. You, dear listener, do not have to go anywhere. The That's Rank podcast, subscription thing will still be in place. We're just going to give it a bit of our old reskin. But
it's like a butterfly. We're a caterpillar. We're about to go into the chrysalis, and
That's
then
right.
we're going to come out as a beautiful butterfly of a new rebranded podcast with the same familiar voices.
That's right.
The same incredibly handsome, devilishly handsome, incredibly funny and witty gentleman of Liam and myself. And we just come back as something different. It's an evolution.
That's right. Evolution, just like my house at the moment. Not too sure if you can see in the background. My house is currently covered in sheets as we go through a bit of a renovation here, and I think that's a bit fitting. That's a bit fitting, isn't it? Changes in the air. Changes in the air, my friend. Changes in the air. Yeah. Now, before we get stuck into it, tonight,
not dust. That's not dust, Liam. That's change. That's not dust.
That's right. As I roll away for you to see everything that's behind me, there's shit everywhere. So.
Yeah,
sadly,
you're like changes in the air, and listen to the change, and it's just power drills. The sounds of change.
Well, listen, if we had done this about 2 hours ago, we would have got all of that. We would have got all of it. So, I think for one last time, everybody, I'm going to bring the wheel in. This has been our wheel. This has been the one that's been spun every week that gives us the ideas that you guys have given us, and thank you very much for everyone who has given us ideas for this lovely wheel. Look, we still had, I should say, about 30 or 40 ideas on there. But I don't know, Rob, what are your thoughts? What are your reasons for wanting to switch it up a little bit to end the old That's Rank podcast?
My number one reason, I've got a top three of reasons.
Fantastic.
We just had a new idea that we wanted to explore. And 110 ranks, 110 episodes was a good run. And it just felt time. I don't know. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to explain, and the Jerry Seinfeld approach, which is to go out while you're still enjoying it, to go out while you're still on top. I think that's something to hold on to as well. When you start to feel like maybe now's the time, you've got to listen to that, and it's better than kind of just continuing to push through. But mostly, I think it was probably an excitement about the new idea.
I think that's fair. And yeah, I mean, you couldn't have said it any better. If I said it, that's not how that saying goes at all. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think it's one of those things. Like, I think we're both starting to get to the point where, we were doing it, we were still having fun, but it was just starting to lose that little bit of energy. And we didn't want to keep pushing through and keep going on episode after episode without that same vigor and fervor that we went into this with all those years ago, and even still recently. Like, this is, like you said before, been quite a recent and sudden change. But
absolutely,
like I said, I think everyone will enjoy the new idea and the new podcast that we'll be starting very soon.
And you have to listen to the whole episode before we tell you what it is. Is that right?
Oh,
is that the?
I think. Oh, look, we'll see how the episode goes. We don't plan these things, do we? Everything's on the fly with the That's Ranked podcast. Everything's on the fly.
Yeah.
One last time.
We don't do that clickbait, those hook things. Listen to the end and we'll give you a free coaster.
Ah, well, look, lovely. Thankfully, our listeners tend to listen to most of the episode, which is great. Thank you very much. A lot of the times when you look at analytics for some things, like I know with our YouTube, it's pretty popular for people to click on it, watch for a couple of seconds, and then drop straight off. Whereas with the podcast itself, people tend to stick around. So we do appreciate that. Now, and a big thank you to our 100 followers on Spotify. I don't know the numbers we have for the other podcasts, but like I said, you don't need to change anything. The That's Ranked podcast, in essence, will still be there, just names new. So again, Rob, I can't stress enough. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We're not going anywhere. It's just the That's Ranked podcast that's going away.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder what the OnlyFans runtime is, the dropout rate is on OnlyFans. I wonder if it's got a different.
It's different for every person, Rob. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I see. I see.
Yeah. But let's take a bit of a moment as well, Rob. Let's pause to thank some of the people who have joined us on this little journey. I think we would be remiss not to thank some people. Who shall we start with?
Well, I mean, obviously we had a third member, a co-host of the pod for a large portion of this, who's off living their best life. And Taryn, we got to kind of give a shout out to Taryn, a thank you to Taryn, and just acknowledge that she was a whole third of the podcast. She was,
and it was good to have a third person come in and join us to kind of break us up a little bit, break up the monotony of two lads talking, have a different viewpoint, different generation, different gender, different everything, like just a different person. And it was nice to have her along and give her thoughts. And she was just a delight. Still is. She hasn't gone anywhere other than Germany. She's a delightful human being. And it would have been great to have her on, but you know what? Sometimes life gets in the way a little bit. When you're going to go and live your best life in Europe, sometimes you've got other things going on. So no, it was.
And when two guys make an impulsive decision to start a new podcast as well, because it was pretty impulsive, pretty quick turnaround here. So
oh bless. Hopefully she can forgive us. I'm sure she'll be fine. And look, this is not to say that we won't get guests on for the new podcast. We definitely will. That will definitely be something we're doing as well. So you'll definitely see Taryn's face again, I am sure. But we have to thank her absolutely. Also, big thanks to Ben Sutton as well, who's joined us for a number of episodes as well in recent times. Always a bit of a laugh, isn't he, Ben?
Thank you. And Ben, I think we hope will join us for the new podcast as well.
Yeah.
And other guests that we had along the way, Mr. Matthew Bedford, our Japanese
Bedford.
travel buddy, Ms. Lucy Wong, Jesse Dart.
Darty.
We had some great people on here joining us for the ride. So shout out to all of them.
Shout out to all of them.
No, I'm only joking.
Could you imagine? That'd be the worst thing in the world. But controversy creates clicks. Let's do it. No, I'm just joking. We're not going to do that. Let's do it. But
I Bartholomew myself.
Well,
shout out to Bartholomew as well. Bartholomew
how can we forget old Barty? One more time for the listeners, Rob. Who was Bartholomew?
Best Pets episode, and Bartholomew was the sloth, Liam Sloth, we kind of, I think that was the first time someone had put themselves third when we battle ranked. They said, look, I'm just going to put myself last. And that became the Bartholomew. So you would Bartholomew oneself and put yourself last.
That's right.
And that's the way the old Barty worked.
That's the old Barty. In fact, when we had early talks of merchandise that we're potentially going to put together, the Barty was the first one I think we're gonna chuck together. Actually, I think it was all three of the animals we spoke about in that episode we were going to try and turn into some sort of T-shirt. But look, we didn't quite get
that. Would have been
well. Do we chuck that on the list? Should we chuck that on the list for the other episode? We probably should. The other podcast idea, maybe we will. I think it's not a bad shout.
Maybe we will.
It's not a bad shout. Now,
hint.
It's all about video games and just that. No, it's not that. Now, it wouldn't be a That's Rank podcast, Rob, without some ranking. We have to rank. We have to rank something. Now, before, what we've done is Rob and I have curated our top 3 episodes that we thought were the best across our 110. And it wasn't an easy choice by any stretch of the imagination because we had some absolute crackers in there. And I'm sure we'll reminisce and get a little bit nostalgic about which ones we nearly chose, which ones didn't quite make the cut. But it also wouldn't be That's Rank if we didn't have a little game every now and then, like our episode where we both ranked each other's ranks and tried to guess who would rank what. So what I've done is I've gone into our little analytics and I have gathered the top 3 episodes, top 3 listened episodes. So this is our listeners' favorite 3 episodes from the time of our podcast. So from 3 to 1, Rob, I want to see if you can guess what our top 3 episodes were. Now, this is a test as well, because this is going to make you go back into your memory banks to see what we have ranked, because I know that's not an easy feat by any stretch of the imagination. Much easier for me because I edited the episodes, so I have seen every single episode multiple times.
This is going to reveal a secret that I haven't looked at the analytics for some time. I just wanted to just keep that. That's not what it's about, Liam. It's not what it's about.
It's not. I'll give you a hint though. It's none of the recent ones because they haven't had enough time. So it's going back a little bit.
Okay, so some of the old ones. So some of the older ones. Can I bring up the list? Can I bring up the playlist on the?
Yeah, you can bring up the playlist,
which is where you will find this podcast on Spotify. That's Rank Pod. At YouTube, at Instagram, at Facebook. One last shout out because it's going to be the same channel. So wherever you stream your That's Rank podcast, it's going to stay on that stream. The name will change, and then some of our write-in material will change as well. But that'll come later.
That'll come later. And
if you wanted to send us a goodbye, send us a goodbye.
Yeah, and then in a couple of weeks' time, when we're back again, you can be like, "Oh, hello again. It's so good to see you. It's been so long." Now, while
right,
Rob's,
I
was going to say, just while you're looking at some episodes, we're pushing up towards 7,000 total listens, which is fantastic. Rob's going to go away. Do you want to go away for a second while I tell everyone about the? Yeah, go on. He's going to go. He's going to go for a walk. You better not be cheating. I bet he's cheating. So while Rob's away, I just want to again shout out to our 100 Spotify followers we had. Anyone who's listened across the last 2.5, nearly 3 years, close to 7,000 total listens, which is pretty damn decent for a small little podcast like us. So we definitely appreciate all the love that we've got over the years. And yeah, I think we're excited. We're excited. He's back. All right. Robbie's back in the hot seat. I want you to see if you can get number three.
I just phoned a friend. He's my 50-50 and...
Well, 50-50,
I can't remember.
That means it's only 55 episodes to choose from instead of 110. That's pretty good.
Didn't help me, though. 55 episodes, still a lot of episodes. Travel destinations.
Not on the list.
Sources.
No, also not on the list.
Things to do while drunk.
No.
Simpsons characters.
No.
Dream jobs.
No, not that either. This is good, though, because people can hear about all the episodes we have, but that you can still listen to in the archives, even once we get our new channel.
The ways to eat chicken.
I forgot we did that. I can't remember who gave us that idea, but what an episode that was. Crikey Moses.
I love it. Ways to eat chicken and desserts to eat out of the bin were perhaps two of the best.
Honestly, this is just a little sidebar while you're looking. This is some of the coolest stuff we had about this podcast. Some of the random things people asked us to rank. Like, it wasn't just basic stuff like sports teams. Yeah. Best ways to eat chicken. Get out of here with that. So good. All right. What else we got?
With your mouth was number one. You don't want to know what number two was. Oh God, the same.
Would you like a clue?
Top teas?
No,
yes,
definitely not that one. Definitely not top teas. That was not close. Okay, so it's quite
worst places to get tattooed.
Not that either, no. But it's something that's quite popular. Something that you do with your family, something you do with your friends, maybe to pass time on Christmas Day. You know, something that you might do.
Christmas meals.
No, nothing to do with Christmas. Something you might do on Christmas Day with your whole family's there. When you go down to Margaret River, I'm sure you guys do it all the time as well. You know, sometimes you roll a cheeky dice every now and then.
Board games.
The best board games. Number 3. It was the third most listened to episode where I'm pretty sure I ranked Monopoly as my as the top game, which I got a lot of scorn for, which I understand. But when you're doing this rank on the fly, sometimes it's all you can think of.
You did not collect $200.
I did not pass go. No, I did not. Number 2. What do you reckon? What's the second top episode?
Conspiracy theories.
It is not. Picture a microphone placed upon a table and a man leaning over it and singing directly into it. That's a reference that only you will get.
Karaoke songs.
It's the best karaoke songs.
An all-timer.
That is an all-timer.
Yeah, that's a great story. It's a great story.
It's a great story, and I love it because only you and I will actually understand the humor in watching a Japanese farmer sing karaoke by placing the microphone on the table, bending over. Like, he literally stood the microphone up on the table, just stood up, and then just kind of stood up over it and was just singing down into it. It was very bizarre. But we got a good old kick out of it. All right. And that brings us to the number 1 episode of the That's Rank podcast as listened to by our listeners. What do you think?
Mouthfeels.
No,
worst food to have mouthfeels.
Not a food one.
Best smell.
No.
Hangover cure.
Nothing to do with food or drink.
Airport traditions.
Nothing to do with travel.
World's weirdest jobs.
Nothing to do with jobs.
Sandwich. No, you said no food. Worst things about getting older.
In fact, we have already mentioned Dear Bartholomew this episode.
Oh, is it pets?
The animals to have as pets was our most listened to episodes by quite some way, by quite some margin.
Really?
Which I think is pretty cool because that was one of the first ones I think with Taryn, and I remember that was the time we were like, okay, we gotta get this girl on all the time. That's a good dynamic right there. That was a lot of fun, and that is still one of our most and probably will forever be our most listened to That's Ranked podcast episode, which I think is really cool. I think it's really cool. Now you listed off.
People like their pets.
People love their pets, man. People love their pets. And I think it's because we kind of took a bit of a left turn with that one as well. We didn't just talk about like cats and dogs. In fact, I'm pretty sure we disbarred them from being selected as part of the process. We said, let's get crazy with this. Let's choose something a bit out of the way, out of the blue, just a bit crazy. We named them all. We gave them all names. We gave them all personalities. Oh, it was a great episode. And if you're going to go back and listen to any of them, if you haven't already, The Animals to Have as Pets is probably the best one to listen to, as the listeners would agree.
Well, maybe it's going to come up there in tonight's rank.
It might do. It might do. Well, that said, let's dive down the rabbit hole a little bit, because I think it's going to be nice to go down the memory lane a little bit as we talk about our top three, our personal top threes. Would you like to get us started with your number three, Mr. Rob?
Oh, it's actually this is really hard. So my short list of what have we said what we're ranking? We have said that, haven't we?
What we're ranking? Yeah, our favorite episodes. Yeah, we have said that. Yeah,
our favorite episodes.
Look, if I haven't, we're ranking our personal favorite episodes tonight, everybody.
It's our last episode, and we spun the wheel, and you wouldn't believe what came up. Miraculously, our favorite episodes of all time.
What's it going to be? Whoa, that's crazy.
No, it couldn't be.
Number one. Oh, it's our favorite episodes of all time episode. Hooray. Okay, go.
Hooray. My number three.
Number three.
My number three.
I'm going to laugh so hard. I'm going to laugh so hard if we both have the exact same top three, which would say a lot. I think that'd be really quite fitting and quite nice, but
it's possible. It's possible. That's what I've got like five. That's why I've got a short list of five now. Like I've just gone, just in case you take a few. But I'm actually going to go for my number three. I'm going to Bartholomew the Pets episode.
Wow.
Because not because it really belongs here at three, but because it's just where Bartholomew belongs, because that's what a Bartholomew is. Bartholomew was the place that you would put your third pick. And it all came from that episode, that sly little, sneaky little sloth called Bartholomew. And like you said, it was one of the early episodes of Taryn. And I enjoyed, that was also one of the first episodes, if not the first episode, where we went from having three, each having to pick three, to just each picking one. And that was one of our early battle ranks as well, because then we had to kind of rank them between ourselves and kind of like have a little battle to figure it out. So that's pretty, that's pretty crazy when you think about it. And fortunately for us, Bartholomew emerged, and that gave us an easy out for the third place. But then I had Paddle Pop the Eagle, which won because of its practicality and its coolness. And I can't remember what did Taryn have? Do you remember what Taryn had?
Tiger? And I'm trying to rack my brain to think about the tiger. For some reason, I want to say it was like Flash or something like that, but I don't think it was that. Oh no,
it had a much better name than Flash.
It had a much better name.
It had a really good name. It had a great name. I just can't remember what it was either. But yeah, great episode. Lots of fun banter. An early rank. And obviously it gave us the moniker. So it possibly could be, could argue, given that it's our number one listened to episode and an episode that gave us our first possible branding item, you could argue it should be number one. But simply because of Bartholomew's place at the third spot on the rank, I think it just has to go here at number three.
Fair enough, my friend. Fair enough. That's where Barty belongs. You're right. It's where he belongs. That's not what I've put number three, though. That's not what I put number three. I've put an episode as my third favorite that I think was the first time with Taryn that we kind of got a strange-ish topic. And I remember this came up and we spoke about things, got a little bit personal. It was quite funny because it's one of those ranks that you get and you're like, how are we going to do this on the fly? But we managed, and it was probably one of the most fun episodes that I think, in my opinion, that we have. And so my number three is the episode where we ranked the best parts of the face. The best parts of the face. Now, I don't know about you, dear listener, but if you sat there with your friends and you suggested that you should talk about the best parts of the face. Now, here's the thing with the rank. It's universal, and, you can, every time people ask me about this podcast and what it was, and I said, we just rank things, and they kind of scoff and be like, okay, cool. Within 2 minutes, they were all thinking about things to rank. And that was the beautiful nature of this podcast. That's what it was like. But if you try and get people to sit in a circle, sure, and talk about the best parts of the face and get an hour of interesting and fun content out of it, I reckon that's quite a challenge. And we did it, and we did it well. So that's why I hold such a special place in my heart. And that's why I've put it as my third favorite personal episode of the That's Rank podcast. For sure. Now, Mr. Rob, let's move on to your number 2, my friend.
Well, hold on. What was it? Do you remember what the best part of the face was?
Okay,
I said that one.
I think I did with ears, and I can't remember what you guys put. I think someone put lips. I think you said lips because as you lick your lips.
I think I went eyebrows. You
did go eyebrows. That's right. Because I was like, what?
Yeah. Because you take them away, and what it's a final piece of the operation. I think maybe Taryn went lips.
Taryn went lips. Yeah. But yeah, mine was ears, and I think ears won. I think because we were speaking about how nice they are in certain circumstances. They're just so strange. Like they're just, when you next time look at an ear, just be like, what the? Yeah.
Now, what is that? Because it looks like a flap, but it's hard. And then it looks like flesh, but it's not. And then you go, is that bone? And you go, no, I don't think that is bone. But yes, I think there is some, it's cartilage. It's cartilage in the ear. So it's just this strange thing with lots of little curves, which looks scientific, but then I don't know. I don't get how it works.
Well,
other than that's collecting wax.
I'm not too sure about this, Rob, but have you ever heard anything? They're pretty good for that too.
No, but I mean the little crooked little curves.
Yeah,
it's not like a subwoofer. It's not a subwoofer. Like I don't know why I've got this extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You turn that down.
I can only hear when I'm placed on the ground.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's some sort of reason. There's some sort of evolutionary reason for them. Surely, maybe it guides the sound in. Maybe it's protection from certain things getting in there. Who knows? It could be a whole bunch of wonderful things. It could be a whole bunch of
protection's good. Protection's good. Maybe it's been going underwater. Maybe it's like a water protection device.
Maybe it's meant to make us more aerodynamic. Hasn't worked for me, but it could be that could be what it's for.
No. That's right. Whenever I'm trying to run, I can't run. It's the ears. Nothing to do with my cardiovascular fitness. Down these ears.
Oh, man.
I swear I could have run away from that if it wasn't for these pesky ears.
Yeah. Some guy in the Sahara, just like nothing, just himself, gets out of like a tour van. They go, get back in. What are you doing? There's lions around. He's like, have you seen these flappers? Have you seen these ears? I'll be fine. I'll be able to run away from anything. Watch me. Oh, see?
That's the moment when the tiger leaps and catches you.
Oh, my ears, they failed me.
Damn your ears. Yeah.
See, this is what I mean. Not many people can just get a cool little bit of content out of talking about ears. And here we have done it for a couple of minutes. Go us. And that's why it is my number 3 for sure. Mr. Rob.
Good one.
Good one. Number 2.
I'm going to go again. I think this was an early one when it was just us. When we started to explore the potential of ranking the unobvious thing.
Ah, okay.
And we decided to rank colors.
Yes, the colors episode.
it was an early moment when I think we started to realize that we had some potential to the idea. Do you know what I mean? Because we started dream jobs and a few other things and things that you kind of would often talk about, all the time. I sit there talking about, oh yeah, how you going? How you going, Rob? Yeah, pretty good. What's your dream job? That's an icebreaker. But you know what I mean? Like colors was a little bit like one that we probably weren't expecting. And then we were like, that was actually a really fun episode. And I learned a little bit. I did some research and discovered the color Eigengrau, which is German for intrinsic grey.
Now, before we go any further, we must caveat that by this is before the wheel. So we did have time to do some research first. We ended that a little while after. I believe
the wheel.
I believe it was.
That was before we did it before the wheel, and we had to both pick three. A little bit like when we went tonight, we did our 3, 2, 1, and this was where we came up with Eigengrau, and we had some really good ones. But Eigengrau, which let me see if I can find it. Dates back to the 19th century, and this is the uniform dark grey background color that many people report seeing in the absence of light.
Well, great.
So when you close your eyes or it's dark and you see that kind of, it's like it's not quite all like black. There's a kind of a greyness to it. That's Eigengrau.
That's Eigengrau. Don't give too much away. We want people to go back and listen to it. Now they know. We didn't say who won that episode. Actually, we didn't say who won that episode. It may not have been Eigengrau. We can't say. Did we actually wait? Did we do winners and losers back then, or we just kind of just did the three? No, it was like tonight. Tonight's a bit of a throwback. Tonight's a bit of a throwback to the first episode. That's right.
Yeah.
The early episodes where we just had our top three. That's right.
It's conflict free.
Conflict free. That is right. Words, man.
Words. Hey, words.
Well,
we've done that one too.
Well, we have to actually. Damn, I forgot about that one. The best words. That was a fun episode. But are you okay if you're cool if I segue into my number 2 because it's kind of perfect?
Please do.
Okay. My number 2 is not the best words episode, which was fun. It was not the best ocarisms, which was also word-based, which was also fun and very, very swear-heavy, which we always love. No, my number 2 was the first time that I can remember, it's the episode that I can recall where it was the first time that we got some really different answers between you, myself, and Taryn. There were we got 3 answers that kind of defined our personalities a little bit, I believe, and kind of established us as being 3. If you couldn't get it before, 3 really different personality types and how we thought very, very different. And that was the languages episode. And I really enjoyed the languages episode because I came out first. And this was the tough part about the on the fly aspect of it, because if you went first, the other 2 had time to think and also come up with a better idea, which is what happened this episode, because languages I took very literally because I love languages as in spoken languages. I like to learn how to pronounce words correctly in different languages. I like to speak different things. So I just chose my favorite language, and which everyone thought I was going to choose Japanese because, as you all know, if you've listened to any of the That's Rank podcast, I'm a bit of a fan of Japan. But I chose Spanish and, had a bit of fun with some Spanish words on the pod. But then I believe it was Taryn chose love language, the language of love, or the love languages. Yeah. And you, my friend, went way, way off kilter, in my opinion at the time, but in hindsight was a very good answer. And you said mathematics, which is a language. And you argued for it very, very well. So that one sticks out of my brain quite a lot, just for how different our answers was and how varied we could get with what we had going on, which I thought was really neat. I thought it was really nice.
Yeah, that's a good one. And really is like, that was the best fun of it. Like you could just sit there and think. And when you went last, so when you went third, you had a little bit more time and you could see what other people would do. And you could just sit there and just be little triggers of inspiration would go, what if I can take that 1 degree further than what you would expect? And then, what if I can take that another degree further? what you'd expect. And maybe I'll just take that another degree. Like I think our best travel destinations ended up traveling through time and space.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, oh, Tahiti. It was like, I can't remember what it was, but it was like going back to Paris in the early 1900s. It was that kind of, that wasn't it, but it was that kind of thing. We started taking bigger leaps, bigger swings. And that was when it got a little bit fun and inventive and explorative. And
I think
it was always all those things, but it was fun.
I think that might have been another episode that I went first because I'm pretty sure I said safari in Africa. So I definitely went first in that one as well because it was just a really basic answer.
Donde esca? Africa. Okay.
There we go. So that's my number 2, man. That's my number 2. Languages. Some of my favorite things. But let's move into. Are you on? You go.
Public service announcement. I don't want to be judged for my attempt. I don't want to be judged for my attempt at Spanish just now. So if our kind audience could just forget I said that, that'd be great because I think I said it wrong.
You did, but that's okay. A lot of the time, it's just about giving it a crack, man. You've got to give it a go, and as long as you're not doing a stereotypical accent or an offensive accent, if you're just trying to say some words, that's fine. Give it a go.
That's true.
You're giving it a go. Be proud of yourself. Back yourself in, mate. I have my swig.
Everything I say, though, is in an accent. I'm actually Dutch, and this is my Australian accent that I've been refining for a long time.
That's very good. It is very good.
I commend
you. Yep. I commend you.
Thank you.
It's just stuck now. You go back to your homeland and you start speaking. They're like, "Where are you from?" And you're like, "I'm from here. I'm from Denmark." Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Can I share a story?
Yeah, go for it.
When I was a younger man, I went backpacking. I lived in Edinburgh.
A young boy.
Yes. A young boy. I went backpacking in Edinburgh, and I legitimately lost a lot of my accent, and I started speaking with a little Scottish accent. It was really weird. I came back after 2 years. After 2 years, I came back to Perth, and I started seeing a few friends, and my first friend was like, whoa, like, what did you say? What did you say? Like, I had a real Scottish twang in the way I was speaking. And then I was like, whoa, this is weird. And a number of people pulled me up on it. And I was like, whoa, that's really interesting. Anyway, so then I go back to Scotland, and I'm just like, I've picked up a Scottish accent. I must sound Scottish now. And I just walk around, I'm having a chat, and I catch up with my friend Mark, who is one of those people who I just lost touch with along the way. But when I think about Mark, I think that was a good person. That was a solid person. I wish I'd kept up my contact with Mark, but say la vie. Mark is gone into the ether. And if you're listening to this podcast, Mark, I wonder if you remember this story, which is when I said to Mark, I was like, Mark, I went back home and apparently I've picked up a Scottish accent. And then he was English. He was like, Rob. Oh, that's not my name. How do you do an English accent? G'day. He was like, g'day, governor. Hey, Rob. Hey, Rob. And basically he said what he heard to him was like a stone cold Australian accent. He's like, what you just said to me was, g'day, mate. And I was like, where the hell am I? Like, I go to Australia and I speak with a Scottish accent. I come to Scotland and I speak with an Australian accent. It was a confusing moment for me.
I think that is
whole identity.
I think what that is like when you travel, and I know I'm very much guilty of this, but I don't think I have a stereotypical Australian accent. Like there are parts of it that are, but I often get asked where my accent is from a lot of the time. I don't know why. I'm very much Australian. But when I go overseas, I tend to turn that ochre up just a little bit. You know what I mean? Just kind of turn it up just a smidge. Just be like, yeah, it's again. Not like that, but you know what I mean? So I reckon that when you came back to Australia, I reckon you would have turned on that Scottish just a little bit to show, like subconsciously show that you'd just been away and hope that people would maybe talk about your experiences, what you've been doing. I think it's a little bit to do with that. It's kind of an attention grabbing thing, not in a bad way, but like an attention grabbing mechanism that your brain has.
So some would say there is some things I've heard about this, which is if you're an empathetic person, you're generally trying to connect to the person that you're speaking to. And what that can mean is that you're trying to speak in a way that's understandable. So you might slow down your speech. You might start to intonate. Is that a word? Intonate?
Yeah. It is a word. I'm not sure if it's the right word, but it's a word. Yes.
You might start to eigengrow their sound, a little bit. So you might, and it's apparently it's a sign of empathy. And then I've heard other theories where it means that you're musical. I can contribute to that body of evidence to say that no, it does not mean that you're musical if you start reflecting accents. But there you go. So there's a few different ways of looking at it.
I'm pretty musical. I do accents all the time, so maybe there is something to that.
That's true. Look, it is definitely a theory.
Yeah. Proven all the way through. All right, let's move on. Let's move on, Rob. Let's move on to our number ones. I would love to know what your number one episode was for Und That's Rank podcast.
It was actually a tricky one to rank, the number one episode. And I feel like I've missed so many good episodes when I was trying to think this through.
Undoubtedly.
But then I saw, this is the one I like the most. One of the ones I like the most. And it's chip accompaniments.
Okay.
My number one is going to be chip accompaniments, because I love the fact that we did a lot of food ones, and best sandwich, best pizza, you can do all that stuff. That's a lot of people can chip in on that one. Hey,
very good.
But chip accompaniment was like, well, what do you put with the chip? Mm-hmm. And what I loved about this was this had everything that we like. It had diversity of ideas. It showed our breadth of experience, because I went with I think I went with poutine. I think I went with cheese curds and gravy, perhaps.
Putin. You can't go with
Putin. I think I went with Putin. Taryn went with something she had in Europe.
Oh yeah, the
chips aperitif or something. It had some word to it.
She said it was like it was like this one place. I think she said it was in Belgium that just did like the best
Belgium.
In Belgium, I think it was, and like there was like frites, and there were all these little accoutrements that you could put with the chips and the frites.
Yeah,
I believe that's what it was. Yeah.
She had a word for it, and it sounded delicious. And then Liam was going third, and Liam was in Struggle Town, and he decided to take a big swing and swing for the fences and go for the obscure. And Liam was like, my favorite chip was Chip and Dale, the Rescue Rangers. And he started talking. And normally it's a pretty safe space. And normally between the three of us, there's never really that much of a dead moment. But me and Taryn both kind of looked at each other, and we're both looking at you, and we're just like, what the hell is he talking about? And I've never seen a man die like so quickly. And as soon as you started talking, you were like, and then you lost all energy, and then you pivoted at about the 45 second mark, mid-rank. You pivot to what was it called?
I don't know.
It was the Croatian, the mixed meats, the Croatian thing, the mixed meats that goes all over the chips and all the drippings and everything like that.
Listen. I have a confession to make. I made all that up on the fly. I've never had that before in my life. I literally just thought about the most delicious thing I could think of at the time, and that's what I came up with.
And he said, and because your Croatian heritage, you had a word. And I thought it was a real thing. I was like, what? So you go to Croatia, you get chips with meats on it?
That'd be, I think. So I think I might have mentioned Ivar, which is like a sauce that they put on a lot of like cevapcici, which is like the little small skin of sausages. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I spoke about like the chips having fat dripped on them as well from like a lamb spit or something like that. I'm pretty sure I mentioned something like that.
You did.
Listen, I say I made it up on the spot. Basically, what I did was I took a whole bunch of Croatian delicacies and then just put chips in it, and then just sold it like that was the best thing in the world.
I'm so glad this is coming out now, because you won. Because
I did.
We were both like, that's the most amazing thing ever. And if that doesn't exist, what the hell are we doing making podcasts? I'm going to go and buy myself a spit and a deep fryer.
Yeah.
And you're going to find me, at the local food truck selling this thing, which is basically just meat chips and drip fat. Sounded delicious, and we were.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I can't believe that. You literally, that's amazing. Anyway,
Yeah.
we that's what I love. So it was a total pivot. It was one of the worst answers I've ever had, followed by one of the best answers I've ever had. I love it even more because I've just found out that it's made up, which is a great reveal. And then after all that, which was a fun episode, after all that, we got the listener write in. Shout out to one of our core and long-term listeners, Mr. Billy Damage, who wrote in, and he was like, he's like, mate, do you know what the best thing with chips is? No, I said, well, hold on, did I say mates? No, Billy Damage was like beer. And I was like, bloody hell, Billy. Yes, beer. Beer and chips. That's the best. Anyway. Billy
no,
Damage
that was your, I think your accompaniment was friends. Your accompaniment was friends. Chips with mates, I'm pretty sure.
Mine was friends. That was what mine was. That wasn't, I had friends. Mm-hmm. What did Billy say? Billy said something really good. Now I can't remember. Yeah. No, this is a bad story.
That's all right, man. That's all right. Look, I must admit, I thought that Chip and Dale answer, the best accompaniment to Chip is Dale. I thought that was fantastic. You both thought I was talking about the male strippers, and I was actually just talking about Chip and Dale, the Rescue Rangers. That's what I was talking about. It goes to show where your two heads are at. Crikey Moses. No, I was very proud of myself that episode. When I won, I was just like, oh, got away with one there, boys. Got away with one there. I'm actually so glad. I'm actually so glad that you chose that one as your favorite, because that would have gone unremembered and just through to the keeper if you had not chosen that. So I'm glad you chose that so I could share that story. That's good.
It's a great story. It's a good story. Yep.
All right. Well,
so, Mr. Courtney.
Look, I feel like it's not a letdown, but my number one was your number three. My number one favorite episode of all time, was the animals to have as pets, because it was just such a fun episode. It was, again, I seem to reminisce like a lot about our early transitions with Taryn coming into the podcast and the fun that we had with those episodes. And that was one of the first that I remember we kind of stopped recording, and I was like, well, that was a lot of fun. I think being able to give a little backstory as to why we would choose these animals as pets and giving them names and personalities really kind of tested our ability to think on the fly, which is where we were taking the whole idea of the podcast. And I think it's, and this is the thing, like doing these, we did them once a week back then. We've since moved to once a fortnight because it's just easier with life. But back then it was once a week. And so once a week having to, come together and think of things on the fly and, riff and improv, especially when it was your turn and you were panicked, like that episode to me was kind of like the one that said to me, well, we can definitely do this. We can definitely make this a, red hot crack of it. And, maybe those first few episodes that we did before that, we're fine. We're a lot of fun, but that one was where I think we really hit our stride. It was a fun episode. Obviously, the listeners love it as well. The number of listeners that it's got means that people are, and compared to the number of followers we've got, means that people are telling people to listen to that episode, which I think speaks volumes as well. And yeah, I think that was just, I think it was just one of the most fun. The one that I still talk about when people ask what we rank. I pretty much go to that one as a first shout. Even though number three would be a more fitting spot for it, given the Bartholomew, it did birth that idea, kind of accidentally, mind you. Like I think just the next episode. Sometimes I think I went, I'm just going to Bartholomew. See, it's not even easy to say. Terrible slang. I'm just going to Bartholomew myself, and it kind of stuck from there. So yeah, for those reasons, that is my number one favorite episode that we have done on this wonderful podcast.
It was a good one.
That's right.
That was a good one.
Podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There's our number 1, 2, and 3. Listeners, write in. We would love to hear, and if you do write in, we will put you on our socials. We will share your feedback.
Yes.
If it's appropriate to be shared, and we'll let other people know what your favorite episodes are, and because it's important, we want people to go back and look at the archive, and the archive will stay up because it's going to transition to the new idea.
It's going to live on.
It's going to live on.
It's going to live on.
I I want to shout out every time we had to rank a movie because,
yeah, well,
yeah, I used to love watching you squirm.
honestly, the reason we brought in the 5-minute timer, because every time we had a movie episode, Rob would just, now listen, you love your movies. You love them. You love them, and you're very knowledgeable about them. It's fantastic how passionate you are about the movie. But sometimes with those episodes, when I was just like, I don't know what to say. I can't contribute the way Rob's contributing right now. All I'm going to say is, the movie's pretty good.
One of the all-time upsets. Best documentary.
Oh.
And I was like, it's a film one. I've got this best documentary. And I went and talked about this documentary called The Thin Blue Line, which got a guy off of Death Row. And then Taryn talked about dinosaurs and, we were talking about real documentaries. And then Liam was like, sports. And I was like, that's not a documentary. And Taryn was like, that's a great documentary. And the two of you combined to take out the first prize. And I was like, what? I was like, it can't be. Sports isn't a documentary.
Yeah. Recording of real life instances with commentary as to what is happening. That's a documentary. I stand by it.
And you won. That's the beauty of it, is that you actually came first.
Yeah.
Here's Mr. I don't like talking about movies. And it's like, well, actually, you won one of the movie ones, Liam. You did win one of the movie ones.
Democracy. It works, doesn't it?
Exactly right. 50% of the time.
Oh, man. I got sore cheeks from talking about all these fun times. This is great. No, it was fun talking about movies. It was fun talking about music. It was fun doing the whole gamut of topics that everyone sent in. It is a bit bittersweet symphony to see it right off into the sunset. But like you said at the top of the show, Rob, I think it is high time that we put that to sleep and maybe move on to something a little bit more. Well, I was going to say a little bit more different, but that's not great English. Neither is that. It's just different. We're going to, I think, move away from the random off the fly idea a little bit. We'll obviously still, we'll still have that that kind of element of banter to our episodes. I'm 100% sure that's not going anywhere. But Mr. Rob, now that we have put a nice little bow on the That's Rank podcast, would you like to share with the lovely people as to where we will be going with this lovely podcast and what we shall be called moving forward?
Absolutely. It's the Eigengrau podcast, and it's a podcast entirely about colours. Every week, a different colour. We're going to we're going to wear different colours, talk about different colours.
Yeah. Different pastels.
The smell of different colours. Yeah, different pastels, 100%. Oils.
Oils, yeah.
No, I joke. Well, we are both people that enjoy looking back, Liam, and we think a lot of people like looking back. And I, in particular, we're at an age now where we can look back far enough where things that we grew up with and things that we experienced have a certain word attached to them, a word that means comfort, a word that means intrigue. That word is nostalgia. So we are about to launch a new podcast on this channel called Nostalgia Bra, which is a podcast that's going back and taking a look at those nostalgic things that we all hopefully... Nostalgia, bro. Those little things that we all look back on and give us a little bit of fondness, comfort. We're going to unpack and explore everything from old games, video games, TV stuff, movies, cultural things, world events.
Toys, world events. The whole lot.
Toys. Exactly.
The whole gamut.
Activities. A whole bunch of little things.
A bunch of little things. And I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to be... are we going to go ahead with our first episode being a bit of a one-off draft about which topics we want to take? Okay, so here's the deal. So Rob and I have brainstormed around about, let's say, 50 to 60 ideas. And of course, once we get going, we'll be looking for ideas from you as well, dear listener. But our first episode is we're going to actually do a bit of a draft and choose 5 each to start with that we want to take the reins with. So, for example, Rob chooses his topic. He will then put something together, put like a bit more of a produced little schedule together. get some history, get some information, and then we'll talk about the good old days. And nostalgia, bro. We're still trying to come up with a. Was that?
Sorry, I was going to say, like, we could draft, and maybe I'll draft MTV. Maybe I'll draft Y2K. Maybe I'll draft Goosebumps, the TV show. Maybe I'll draft 7 p.m. sitcoms. Maybe I'll draft morning cartoons. Maybe I'll draft.
Who put TV series next to Goosebumps? I just wrote down Goosebumps. I didn't put the TV series. I want the books, damn it. I want the books. I collected the hell out of those things. TV series. Get out of here with that. Get out of here with TV series.
Oh man, there you go. So we're looking forward to it. 90s slang. We've got so many things here. The corner deli. Oh my gosh. I'm actually really excited. Hypercolor t-shirts, Tamagotchis.
Oh yeah, Tamagotchis. Yeah, we're gonna deep dive, and there's a lot, and we got a good range of them that span across all different genres: sports, music, like movies, TV shows, just regular culture. Like Rob has already said, we're still trying to work on the on the reason as to why it's nostalgia, bro, which is obviously a portmanteau of nostalgia and algebra. I like to think it's because it's the equation of our life. All these memories are the equation of our life, which is why it's called nostalgia, bro. If we might rock with that, we might workshop it a little bit. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm excited for it too.
Yes.
Go on, Rob. What are you going to say?
I'm excited for it. And, well, I think this is an opportunity as well for our listeners to get involved, because we are going to be looking for a little bit more, not just people writing in, but I think we're going to be reaching out. We might want to have a conversation with a few people that might be passionate 100%. About a certain piece of nostalgia. We might want to do a little bit of research. And we are going to have some games, because it is still the same That's Ranked banter. So we're going to gamify things a little bit, which is why the first episode, having a live draft of our best episodes to focus on, is, I think, going to be a bit of a fun idea. So let us know. Give us feedback and tell us what makes you nostalgic.
Yeah, and the good thing about doing the draft as well is you'll know exactly what episodes are coming up. So if you hear something that you like, that you remember, you can get in touch with us before the fact. Let us know all the things you love about that thing, and who knows, we might even chuck it in the episode. Who knows? You might remember something about that we don't know or haven't researched or haven't got the information for. So once you hear it, if you hear something that you like, let us know. After we've done the first 10, we'll redraft again from the ideas, and we'll just keep going around and around until we get famous. Just joking.
Until we can't remember things anymore. And so a big part of the reason we're getting other people in as well is because obviously we just don't want to talk about our generation. We want it to be
that's right.
We want to talk about nostalgia for everybody. For younger generations and even older generations, we just want to kind of unpack this thing. Why does it make us so warm and fuzzy? Why is it so important? And why are older things better? Do you know what I mean? Like, why do they feel better when you look back at them, even though at the time maybe they weren't? But sometimes you look back and go, "Oh, those were the days." Where'd that come from?
Do you know what that is?
Those were the days.
Do you know what that is? Do you know what that is? That's nostalgia, my friend.
Yeah, and the best quote that I had of Rob McKrill, who was a guest on the That's Ranked podcast at one point.
Oh, shout out to Rob, yeah, of course.
Idea, and he goes, yeah, nostalgia. He's like, I've got a mate that's got a great quote about nostalgia. It's nostalgia. It's not what it used to be.
Oh God. That sounds. How old was his friend? Was he a dad? Is he a dad?
I have no idea how old his friend was, but I liked it.
It's good. It's good. It's good. Now, unfortunately, but also fortunately, looking ahead, but unfortunately, Rob, that brings us to the end of the final episode of the That's Ranked podcast. You can look forward to our new podcast in the next coming weeks, but this is the end of a long journey. An exciting journey, a very fun journey. So it's only fitting that I take the final thought for the last one, right?
I agree. I was actually about to say that.
Oh, fuck, were you?
Yeah.
No, shit. Oh, my goodness me.
I was like, I've always done a lot of the final thoughts. I enjoy a good final thought, but I was like, this is the last one, Liam. That's Frank was your idea, to take this to a podcast on its own. And I think it would be only fitting if you ended with your final thought.
Okay. Well, it'll be a bit of a soppy one, a bit of a emotional one. But after recording all of these episodes with yourself, with Taryn, with Ben, with Matt, with Jesse, with Lucy, and yourself with Rob McKrill, I'm pretty sure I did one with Toby back in the day, like episode 10. I'm pretty sure was with Toby.
That's right.
That's a lot of
right.
That's a lot of hours of time we've put into recording. There's been a lot of hours put into editing and putting all this together, and it has been an absolute pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. I think we have done an amazing job, regardless of like our overall reach. I think for a little podcast out of Perth, Western Australia, to have even 100 followers is pretty amazing. And there's not much philosophical, there's not much, in the way of poignancy like Rob would often give with his final thoughts. My final thought is just this. Thanks everyone for joining us. We appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you on our new adventure very, very soon. Adios.
Well said, Liam. Goodbye.